It's rolling.
Hello, and welcome to Scrap TV, the video forum for the ISRI and Scrap Magazine websites. I'm Kent Kaiser, your Scrap TV host, and today we're fortunate to be talking with Tony Smith, one of ISRI's safety outreach directors. We're talking about mobile equipment safety in scrap yards. First off, welcome, Tony.
Thank you, Ken.
We're very happy to have you today. And first of all, let's just begin with the question, what are we talking about in terms of mobile equipment in the scrapyard?
Well, what we typically see in recycling facilities are forklifts, skid steers, wheel loaders, material handlers, mobile cranes, track mobiles for railroad, and even yard trucks.
Okay, all right. Now, why is mobile equipment safety such a priority area for recyclers?
Well, as mobile equipment, if you look at it, it's heavy equipment. It's big, it's powerful, it weighs a lot. And unfortunately, there are struck-by injuries that often end in fatalities based on the size of the equipment.
Sure.
So we want to make sure that anyone who operates the equipment or works nearby the equipment understands fully how to act and react around it. Usually when a struck-by happens with heavy equipment, it ends badly.
Ah, okay. All right, so a lot of danger involved.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's go through, what are the major safety-related issues when you're talking about mobile equipment? Let's go through some of the major points.
Well, let's start with forklift, for example, and many of our members use forklifts.
Sure.
First and foremost, when you get in the seat of the forklift, snap the seatbelt, put the seatbelt on.
Okay.
The main reason is it's designed to keep you in the seat in the event that that forklift tips over.
I see.
Now, along those lines, if you use the forklift properly, you should never tip it over. However, we've seen some fatalities over the past couple of years where a forklift tips over and the operator jumps off and they don't have enough time to get away from the machine that oftentimes weighs 10,000 pounds. And I look at that as a safety person as totally preventable. So put the seatbelt on. And the other equipment has seatbelts as well.
Okay.
So the seatbelt is there, use it, it's designed to save lives.
Okay. All right. Well, aside from the seatbelt issues, which is very important, obviously, what else are top concerns with mobile equipment?
Well, I also see blind spots as a big concern. And we could also call those no-go zones. Actually, ISRI has a great resource on our website called No-Go Zones that highlights the blind spots around many of the pieces of mobile equipment that I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
And what I see mostly is the operators, the people who run the equipment, know where their blind spots are. And they know how to look around and make sure no one is in their blind spots, but their job is to focus on what's in front of them
What they're doing.
when they're doing production work.
Sure.
What I try to do when I'm in the field is get with those who don't operate the equipment
I see.
and put them up in the seat of these pieces of equipment and have them look in the mirror. We don't let them start the equipment, we don't want them to run it,
Sure.
but we want them to understand what an operator sees and can't see.
Good point.
So we'll also do, I call them blind spot drills with the equipment, where we'll take that person who works on the ground around this equipment, put them in the seat, and then we'll take 2 or 3 people and put them behind the equipment and have them start to walk backwards.
Okay.
Float back from the, say, the counterweight of a material handler.
Okay.
And I want the person in the seat to look in the mirror and tell me when he can see those people behind the equipment. And it's often a real good eye-opener to that employee. So the goal is to make sure as many people as possible understand what these blind spots represent. And they are no-go zones.
Sure.
And they can be very deadly.
Oh, okay. All right. No, that's absolutely true. All right. Now, I sat in on your workshop on mobile equipment safety at the ISRI convention.
Yeah.
And I noticed there that you also talked about something called hazard recognition. Can you talk about what that involves?
Oh, sure, sure. Hazard recognition in the recycling environment. And I'm going to take it from the point of view of a mobile equipment operator. So I like to break it down to what I call the 4 Ps. And we'll call those people, power lines, potholes, and piles.
Okay.
By piles, I mean piles of material which create blind spots.
Okay.
But let's start with people. Those are typically people that wander into these blind spots.
Sure.
They need to know and understand how to act and react around the equipment.
Okay.
Power lines. There you have overhead hazards.
Sure.
So, you know, as human beings, we typically see everything from here down.
Sure.
That's how we walk through life. As equipment operators, you have to understand that you have a piece of equipment that can go up 10 feet, 20 feet, even 50 or more feet. So you have to pay attention to those overhead hazards, which could be power lines, could be buildings. Along the lines of overhead hazards, let's look at lateral hazards, things on the sides of you.
Oh, gotcha.
And those are typically buildings, other equipment, piles of material. Even ground level hazards can be an issue. So equipment operators have to think and know outside of the box of their surroundings.
Okay. Right. So now, did we already cover the 4 Ps you said?
People, power lines, potholes, and piles.
Okay.
Yes, power or potholes,
Okay.
for example, would be unlevel ground.
Okay.
So it's important to always do a site survey and know what type of ground you're working on too.
Okay.
You want good level ground when you're running the equipment.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Now, I know there's a lot more to your presentation that you do on this subject, but what closing point would you like to emphasize about mobile equipment safety in the scrapyard?
Well, I think as far as an operator goes, a good operator is more than just someone who pulls on the sticks of the equipment.
Okay.
To become a good operator, you want to know your equipment, you want to know your surroundings. So pre-operational inspection and equipment care
Okay.
are real important. And housekeeping. But by doing a good pre-operational inspection, you're showing that you know the equipment and you care for it.
Sure.
So equipment care is very high on my list.
Okay.
It's something I like to teach people. And I was taught by one of my mentors years ago that housekeeping is so important. And the better your housekeeping, the easier it is to inspect and take care of your equipment.
Gotcha.
So this teacher of mine taught me that we clean to inspect. We inspect to detect, detect to correct, correct to perfect.
Wow.
And we're all striving for perfection. We want to be as good as possible. But keeping things clean and taking care of housekeeping, it's so important.
That's great. Well, there's so much more we could cover about this subject, I know, but if people really want to learn more about it, they can take advantage of this. It's a material handler safety train the trainer program.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. That Tony offers as part of ISRI's safety outreach services. And ISRI members can contact the ISRI headquarters about setting up an appointment for Tony to come by and do that program. Now, it's focused on material handlers right now. Do you take in other mobile equipment on it now, or are you going to expand it at some point?
Well, it is focused on material handler operator safety, but I encourage anybody from the facility to sit in the class because they will get information out of it. In the future, the near future, we're planning to put together mobile equipment, train the trainers for forklift, skid steer, and wheel loader.
Oh, okay.
So we should see those in the next 9 to 12 months.
Oh, great. Okay. Very, very helpful, I'm sure. Well, that's all the time we have today. I first want to thank Tony for coming and joining us today, sharing your safety wisdom. And just want to say I'm Kent Kaiser for Scrap TV, saying until next time, take care.